Hello out there. Welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. Woo, fun show tonight, folks. Get to see us in our native environment, hanging out in the No Shit Cast studios for the first time. If you want to check that out, you can see that over at YouTube. Check out the No Shit Cast channel on YouTube. Joining us in the studio for the first time as our new producer and engineer, none other than Mr. Devlin, sitting back there and running the works and keeping everything kind of on track and helping us navigate the interwebs. So everybody, I want to welcome Mr. Devlin, the engineer, back there. Say hi, Devlin.
Hey, what's up?
Joining me as usual on the show, my co-host for this evening's festivities, none other than the Gray Wizard of Historical Knowledge himself, Mr. Erik D. Smith. Mr. Smith, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing as well as any man that can roll a 20.
20-sided die is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Here. Not like roll up a 20.
No, I don't know.
Is that a
I'd
special,
spend those really
talent?
quick.
Yeah, those are gone. Those are too fast. Fun coupons, right?
Yeah.
So we got a good, I don't know.
Sure.
Bunch of stuff to talk about tonight, and it's going to be kind of interesting now because, like I said, we got Devlin driving. I'm not running the computer and the soundboard and everything this time, so this is our first run through this sort of approach to doing podcasting, so we'll get to see how this all works out tonight.
And I have a different mic, and I'm trying to become one with this one, so I'm still a little contentious with it.
That's bugging you too, isn't it?
No, it was freaking me out that you were looking. I was like, what? It's like Poltergeist or something.
All right,
Did you
Devlin,
see something?
Bring up the show includes, if you wouldn't mind, please, because I gotta give some shout outs here. We got a new member of the No Shit Cult. He was baptized this weekend on YouTube in comments. It was actually Reed. Dillashaw, right? So he has joined the cult of no shitters. So he's officially a no shitter now. So big shout out to Reed. Thanks for joining the cult.
I can wave now.
I keep trying. I keep putting it out there. I want to join the Illuminati. Nobody's contacted me yet.
Yeah,
I'm really struggling with that. I'm also starting to think that that's not a real thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man.
I don't know. So do we want to jump into articles, or we don't want to do some goofy questions or anything like that?
Well,
let's get into articles tonight.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know that earlier I was talking about when I was working as a psychic at Universal Matrix.
Like the last show?
No, like a couple of days ago with my coworker, and like on the way home, she was looking at YouTube and she got an ad for that, and it kind of freaked her out,
right?
Because she was absolutely convinced it was listening to our conversation. Like she said that she's never looked up that kind of stuff before ever. And we just had a conversation. I was telling her about, how they used to do the infomercials and things like that. And it was pretty weird.
Well, it's far more insidious than it listening to your microphone. Right? That's what we basically figured out. What it's done is it's stored a profile of you. So it's that predictive.
But it's predicated on things that you've done to be predictive, right? And she says that she's never...
Doesn't matter.
Well...
But she's falling into a demographic of people who line up with her search history. Overwhelmingly, then, there's a demographic of them in her age group or whatever that have. So it's predicting
But even on the way home after the conversation?
Yeah. I think it's that. I just think it's that creepy. Now, coincidence is, or what do they call that? Correlation is not causality.
Sure. Yeah, it could be coincidence.
Yeah.
But aside from that, wow.
It is very creepy when that stuff happens, though.
Yeah.
It does seem very intrusive. And it should, man. That's the whole problem with that's why there is this data argument. It should feel intrusive because it is.
Oh gosh, what does that say about me? It didn't give me the ad.
Before you think about it, right? To your point, and we're sort of going down a wormhole. Devlin, go ahead and pull up get the articles up. But, the only people that were profiled at this level prior to this, right, was, serial killers and shit. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? Like now everybody's profiled
as important
this
as a
way.
serial killer.
Yeah, that's nuts, right?
I guess it's a good thing.
All right, let's jump into the first article. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So this happened. I saw this headline. Tesla police car runs out of battery during high-speed chase. So somebody's got a Tesla police car now. This one actually comes from Futurism, and we know how we feel about Futurism a lot of times.
They got interesting editing choices.
They sure do. Cops in Fremont, California just learned an important lesson. According to CBS San Francisco, a Fremont police officer had to cut a high-speed highway pursuit short after his modified Tesla Model S cop car's battery ran down. The Tesla wasn't fully charged at the beginning of the shift. A Fremont police spokesperson told the station, quote, "This unfortunately happens from time to time, even in our vehicles that run on gas, if they aren't refueled at the end of a shift."
Yeah, which is probably the other guy's fault.
Well,
you didn't charge up the battery, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, of course they're going to make a big deal about the fact that it was an electric car that did that, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Says the hot pursuit had to be called off anyway when the situation became too unsafe. According to reports, the chase reached speeds of about 120 miles per hour. The suspect vehicle was found later after it was abandoned in San Jose. He says, quote, "I am down to 6 miles of battery on the Tesla, so I may lose it here in a second," Officer Jesse Hartman said when radioing in during his chase. According to the Big East Bay Times, quote, "I've already got to try to find a charging station for the Tesla so I can make it back to the city," end quote. The vehicle is part of a test to see if electric vehicles are suitable for police use. It was bought in 2018 for just shy of $61,000. Fortunately, battery issues aren't usually a problem. He says, "We are easily able to make it through an 11-hour shift with battery power to spare," Fremont Police Captain Sean Washington told the East Bay Times. Yeah, I'm guessing that a high-speed chase probably really cranks on the battery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's an abnormal use for it, so it's only going to be able to go so far. But you know what? I'll bet that fucker was struggling to stay away from that electric police car.
So I wonder what the specs on it are, because it's an electronic high pursuit vehicle. So
I think it's got like souped up sort of batteries and stuff. Probably.
I'm interested to know like what its acceleration rate is and top speed and that sort of thing, because you know those are all like normally when they talk about electric cars, like it's about conservation of energy and
efficiency and all that kind of stuff.
Not high performance.
Right.
So I'm just curious on how they handle some of those issues, because it's obvious what you would do in a high performance car with the chemical fuel.
Like maybe they do something special to them.
Yeah.
To make them perform better as in a police. They probably do, because I mean they do that to normal cars that become police vehicles too.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know you could have a high pursuit electronic car.
That's a new one to me.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. That's what and their performance wise, they can pretty much all outperform, like out accelerate, out brake, and corner and things of this nature than most internal combustion engine type vehicles. So they would just be superior, other than the really long charging time. Like fueling a police car up takes 5 minutes, 10 tops, right? Fueling up or doing the one of these Teslas takes hours, like 3-4 hours.
Interesting. But we have done shows about battery life and sustainability. So, there's definitely a lot of science that's going into batteries and that sort of thing here that we've been talking about. So I'm sure there'll be improvements.
Super caps, man, is going to be the next big thing. Yeah. It's going to be super caps. Okay. So this is, speaking of Tesla, says, idiots are trying to run themselves over with their own Teslas.
Well, I guess they're just testing it out.
Yeah, there's what it is I think it's summoned to the smart summon, or it's associated to the smart summon feature. So you understand there's this feature with the Tesla. You can basically do like the Batman thing and say come, and the car comes to you, right? Or come over here. So it says Tesla's smart summon feature, which lets cars navigate themselves in parking lots, isn't even out of beta yet, but Tesla owners are already using it in some mind-bogglingly stupid ways. In a video uploaded to YouTube account Dirty Tesla, a Model 3 owner tries to walk in front of his vehicle while the Smart Summon feature is activated. Luckily, the Model 3's camera spots him, the first time. On the second time around, the vehicle appears to almost roll over his toes while he approaches it from the car's blind spot. This is, and we nor Tesla should have to tell you this, a bad idea. God.
Yeah. Who to blame in court?
What?
I don't know.
There's a lawsuit coming, baby.
Something's
I can tell
happening.
you. In the release notes of Tesla's version 10 update, which includes the Smart Summon feature, Tesla points out that, quote, you are still responsible for your car and must monitor it and its surroundings at all times with your line of sight because it may not detect all obstacles. So that kind of tells me, why would you use it? Like, I mean, you got to be like, okay, come here, car. Then you got to run out in the road and go, like, is it? Well, I think it's prime. It would be better for something like come out of the parking spot.
Yeah.
Like just back up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So
you could get in easily. And
yeah.
you could, if you were in a really crowded parking lot and couldn't see if there was any vehicles coming the other way, you could just get out of your car and back it out.
So
I think that makes sense.
At home, I can see like people with two different remotes, right? And they just get them confused and the car backs out before the garage doors open.
Just crashes through the garage door?
Yeah, because normally you're supposed to open the garage door, call the car.
Yeah.
Just one day you wake up, call the car.
You just get them backwards,
yeah,
right?
It just goes through the garage door.
Hopefully it would be able to see that.
Hopefully. But maybe not.
Well, according to this, drivers are already reporting minor fender benders as a result of Summon. Twitter user David Guajardo even had somebody crash into his Model 3's bumper while he was smart summoning his vehicle in a parking lot. His insurance claim could turn into a real headache, right? Because that gets into the who's responsible.
Who's to blame? Yeah, like who are you blaming on this? Just out of curiosity, how you guys handling this? All the legalities.
Every year, up at the lakes in New Hampshire and Laconia, there's Lake Winnipesaukee and Winnisquam. They have these fishing tournaments, ice fishing tournaments, and you drive out onto the ice of these lakes. But it seems like every year somebody drives out on the lake before it's safe to drive out onto the lake, and they sink a vehicle.
And they drive out on.
And it's, I mean, and your insurance is like,
yeah,
what do you want us to do?
Right.
And that's generally how they find out that. Your insurance is like, no, you drove onto lake. We're not paying for that. The payment's yours. Enjoy that payment without a vehicle.
Sudden and unexpected risks are what we protect against, not premeditated risky things.
Premeditated stupidity.
Oh my God, there's a smudge on your. Oh no.
This comes from Science. Science. So I think it's sciencemagazine.com.
You know, and singularities really do come from science.
Science.com. I don't know. I can't see the web address because we're doing this all flashy now. But yeah, I think that's science.com. I could be wrong. So it says, for nearly 5 years, growing numbers of scientists have blamed the weird orbits of distant solar systems. Have blamed the weird orbits of distant solar system objects on the gravitational effects of an as yet undiscovered Planet 9. Mm-hmm. See, I thought it was Planet 10.
Well, it's depending on what decade you're living in.
And what, yeah. That lies in the icy realm far beyond Neptune, but a pair of physicists is now floating an intriguing idea that could offer a new way to search for the object. What if that supposed planet is actually a small black hole?
What if?
What if? I'm asking. I don't know. For nearly 5 years, growing numbers of scientists have blamed the weird orbits of distant solar system objects on the gravitational effects of as yet undiscovered Planet 9. I already read that. Move down. Previous studies have suggested Planet 9, which some astronomers refers to as Planet X, has a mass between 5 and 15 times that of Earth and lies between 45 billion and 150 billion kilometers from the sun. At such a distance, an object would receive very little light from the sun, making it hard to see with telescopes.
It seems really, really, really improbable for a variety of reasons, but I'm curious as to why they think that this might be a possibility.
Yeah.
Curious.
Let's see. I don't know where I just read. To detect objects of that mass, whether planets or black holes, astronomers can look for weird blobs of light formed when light bends around the object's gravitational field on its journey through the galaxy. Simulated image above. Those anomalies would come and go as objects move in from a distant star and continue in their orbit.
Gravitational lensing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that would be.
But if the object is a planet mass black hole, the physicists...
That's the weird thing about it to me.
Why is that?
Well, because normally it would have to be bigger. The mass.
The mass.
Would have to be more, generally speaking.
Or, if it was a black hole...
Well, the mass of the singularity would have
to be bigger.
Yeah, generally speaking, for the ways that they think that black holes are formed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I'm curious as to how these
then
are
that
formed.
would say that there's sort of a theoretical minimum size for black holes, isn't there? Like a physics theoretical.
Yeah, because it
minimum.
takes a certain size of star to collapse in on itself, right? Like it will expend its energy, and then that top portion comes down on an iron core, kind of a core, really solid core, and then blows off of it. And then that collapses into a neutron star, and if there's enough mass, it will collapse further into a singularity, creating event horizon. So that star has to be so big to begin with, and thus have so much mass, because that's the same amount of mass. It's just in the size of an atom, right?
Right.
So that's what's causing the huge gravitational effect, is that it's all in that one spot. And so it would have to be a certain size, and they can get bigger when they feed. They know that because more mass is added, right? And then the event horizon gets bigger. And then they know that there are supermassive black holes at the center of every galaxy that we've looked at that shares a symbiotic relationship with the galaxy and probably causes star formation through gravitational ripples through space-time, causing gas to condense and form stars and thus black holes. And these supermassive black holes, they figured that they must have been there from the formation of the galaxy, that one must be a side effect of the other. And they discovered things called quasars that were way the hell on the edge of the universe, that were like making massive amounts of energy. And it turns out they were like feeding black holes, supermassive black holes. And they came up with a mechanism for that, and they kind of had to work at that, right, to come up with that. How would a black hole get so massive in the time of the universe, right? And to do it, they had to grow big from the beginning. So they also believe that one of the ways that black holes are formed is through large clouds that condense suddenly and never go through the phase of creating a star, because it happens so quickly and there's so much mass.
But they just like jump past that
and condense into a singularity. That's the theory, essentially. And those are supposed to be what's responsible for quasars, because there's no heavy elements at the time that these things should have been born, when they draw them back in time. So they couldn't have been from the normal means. And I have heard that there may be microscopic black holes, but I'm not sure about that. But I don't know what these guys. This is the first time I've heard of anything like a planet-sized. Not that it couldn't be. I'm just curious on how that would happen.
But no, I think that if you given the accepted norm of how I understand the physics of how black holes form, massive amounts of gravity ends up collecting more and more shit until it ultimately, like, the mass and everything just sort of crushes everything, right?
Yeah.
And then that turns into a singularity.
Yeah.
Okay. That being, then that tells me that a certain amount of mass is required in the laws of physics to make that happen to begin with. So that I think that there's probably, it makes sense that there'd be like a theoretical minimum size.
Yeah.
For how big I think could be.
Yeah. So it makes
small
me wonder,
it could be.
Yeah, but just like they were trying to come up with ways to figure out how these other ones might have started off big, and they came up with that other idea. I think these people probably did the same thing.
Right?
They probably came up with some kind of a mechanism.
It says, but if the object is a planet mass black hole, the physicists say it would likely be surrounded by a halo of dark matter that could stretch up to 1 billion kilometers on every side. Okay. And interactions between dark matter particles in that halo, especially collisions between dark matter and dark antimatter, could release a flash of gamma rays that would betray the object's presence. The researchers propose in a forthcoming paper posted on the preprint server Arxiv. The physicists will soon start to comb through publicly available data from the Earth-orbiting Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope, which has discovered in the sky in all directions since 2008, which has covered the sky in all directions since 2008. They'll be looking in particular for groups of sporadic gamma rays flashes that would move slowly across the skies. Planet 9 would be expected to do as seen from Earth. Although the physicists' proposal is speculative, their search may yield all sorts of information about dark matter and the sources of gamma ray flashes, whether they lie within our solar system or far across the universe.
Sort of like heat, lightning, and dark matter.
Yeah.
You know, that mancho that would surround the thing that they're stipulating here, which is basically this big giant halo of weakly interacting particles.
Yeah.
They call a mancho, would be dark matter surrounding this object that they're describing.
Right.
And I guess they're looking for collisions within that matter to create gamma rays, presumably around the accretion disk of the singularity. I don't know. It's kind of bizarre.
I could say, put the Devlin, pop the border or the header up so I can see. I got to cite these articles. This comes from webforum.org. Thank you, buddy. This machine read 3.5 million books, then told us what it thought about men and women.
Much to do about nothing, no doubt.
I was like, ooh, I got to check this out. Machine learning analyzed 3.5 million books to find that adjectives ascribed to women tend to describe physical appearance, whereas words that refer to behavior go to men. Quote, beautiful and sexy are two of the adjectives most frequently used to describe women. Commonly used descriptors for men include righteous, rational, and courageous. Is that a big surprise? You're looking, yeah, you can't put something with a logo on it in there.
Every time I reach for something, you're like,
I'm like, no, don't grab that. Don't grab that. Researchers trawled through an enormous quantity of books in an effort to find out whether there is a difference between the types of words that describe men and women in literature.
Enormous. Volume.
Oh, okay. Using a new computer model, the researchers analyzed a data set of 3.5 million books, all published in English between 1900 and 2008. The books included a mix of fiction and nonfiction literature. So a little bit of chart here. Ooh, look at all the words. I wonder if they, the pink ones are for feeling.
Yeah.
Quote, we are clearly able to see that the words used for women refer much more to their appearance than the words used to describe men. Thus, we have been able to confirm a widespread perception only now at the statistical level. You got to scroll down, dude.
Vicacious.
The researchers extracted adjectives and verbs associated with gender-specific nouns, ergo daughter and stewardess. For example, in combinations such as sexy stewardess or girls gossiping. Then they analyzed whether the words had a positive, negative, or neutral sentiment, and then categorized the words into semantic categories such as behavior, body, feeling, and mind. It says the data set is based on the Google Ngram corpus. I don't know what the hell that means. Do you know what that means?
No, sir.
No, me neither. 11 billion words. Their analysis demonstrates that negative verbs associated with body and appearance appear 5 times as often for female figures as male ones. The analysis also demonstrates that positive and natural adjectives relating to the body and appearance occur approximately twice as often in describing of female figures, while male ones are more frequently describing using adjectives that refer to their behavior and personal qualities. Is this
surprising?
Really,
no.
Is this in any way surprising?
Not yet.
I mean, I don't think I'm not shocked by this at all.
No, I'm not yet, no.
I guess it's just data that sort of proved what we already knew, right?
Well, yeah, or for people that prefer to make their opinions based on computer analysis.
Jump down the article here a little. The algorithms, says, this is a quote, the algorithms work to identify patterns, and whenever one is observed, it is perceived that something is true. If any of these patterns refer to biased language, the result would also be biased. The systems adopt, so to speak, the language that we people use, and thus our gender stereotypes and prejudices, says Augustine. She gives an example of where it may be important, quote, if the language we use to describe men and women differs in employee recommendations, for example, it will influence who is offered a job when companies use IT systems to sort through job applications. Oh, okay. Okay, so what they're basically, when companies use their IT systems to sort through job applications, so when they start using AI to pre-screen human beings.
That'll be fun, won't it?
Well, that's kind of what, so that's why I think that she's saying that this is an important issue. Because, yeah, that's true. I mean, AI is going to start, we were just talking about that at the beginning of the show, how we're all being profiled, right? So the language that exists that describes you is going to also create a virtual profile of who you are as well.
Sure, yeah.
So that's important.
Yeah. I mean, I wondered that very same thing if anything was listening, that it would probably know that I had a high level of skepticism. So in general, right?
Yeah,
so he just didn't bother with that. Like, no, he likes this music stuff. Give him that. He always responds to that shit.
Yeah, he likes that shit much better. Hey, Devin, let's do the next one.
Do it,
He's trying to figure out how to.
Let
me see what the next article is. This is from Rolling Stone. I don't know. Do you think it's a plausible question? Are we in the throes of a global sex recession?
I don't know, man. There's been a lot of talk about sex robots, a lot of research going into sex robots. I don't know.
This all seems to be based on the male virginity rate in Japan. This whole article is what it.
No, it's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah, you don't think so?
No, no, I do not.
It says sex is like sleep or protein. People freak out if they're getting too much, and they freak out if they're getting too little. So it comes as little surprise that when a news story emerges that hints at the latter possibility, it's guaranteed to go viral, such as the case earlier today with a report from CBS News focusing on Japan's sex recession, or the idea that Japanese millennials aren't having sex, which comes with the ominous warning that America may be next.
Okay, now wait a minute. First of all, they live on an island. It's not like they're going to be able to put people anywhere. They're already pretty populated for the islands, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it could be that it's like natural selection too, because most species do.
Exactly.
Once they get to the edge of their ecosystem, stop producing like
offspring.
Overly. Yeah, most do. And it could also be that in a society that is so cloistered in viewing what's happening culturally and socially that they're just not interested in having kids and bringing them into a society that's already rife with a lot of dense populated people in it, and a government that keeps an eye on everybody. Not that I'm saying that that's good or bad, just with the overpopulation and that combined might be a good reason to not to not have kids.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people I know here don't have kids and stuff. For those reasons,
yeah.
So
you start to outgrow your resources.
I was just thinking that this is probably like a natural way of stopping overpopulation.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, I mean, I think the sperm count has went down globally in the last,
How does one come by that little tidbit?
I've heard that. I think it's what's the guy's name? Hans
Gruber. That was the guy from Nakatomi Plaza and Die Hard. That was a different guy.
Yeah, I keep wanting to say Hans Zimmerman too, and it's
Hans
like, no,
Zimmerman,
not him.
Not him.
It's a different Hans. No, I forget the guy's name now. But it was just a guy who did research of things, and he was doing research on population and population density and third world countries that were merging into what they was calling developing first world or second world countries, and they were talking about how when a place gets things like birth control and an infrastructure where people can go out and work and make a better life, they tend the amount of offspring that they have tends to balance out.
Yeah, eventually.
And it steadies. So and like the whole research was about world population. And everybody was saying, well, there's going to be more and more people. How many people can the Earth sustain?
There's a lot of alarmism about that.
Right.
Versus when you actually look at the statistical data and how, like you're saying, that populations will eventually start to lean out. And you can see that because the size of families in the 1920s versus the size of families in the 2020s is radically different. The amount of children per household and these kinds of things has gone down remarkably in the United States alone.
Hey, engineer.
Yes.
Could you, in your spare time, please find anything on YouTube that correlates with world population growth, Hans?
Oh, so you can find this guy's name?
Yeah. Yeah, and you may see an image of him in front of it's big giant screen. It's kind of like a hologram screen.
Didn't he do a TED Talk or something?
He did, yeah. It's a TED Talk.
Okay,
I just can't remember the guy's name. But you ask where I came up with that whole idea of the sperm thing.
So you watched this? You watched this TED Talk?
Yeah,
I think
originally,
I've seen it. Now that you're mentioning it, I think I've actually seen it too. Didn't he do something with tubes that he poured? He was pouring like ping pong balls or something into.
Yeah, and he had like stacks of blocks that he was doing at one point.
Yeah, and he was showing how this is what's going to happen, and how the populations will.
That was a different one than the one I seen, but that is he's done a couple of TED Talks, and the one I seen was a bit longer, but I seen that one.
And he's got like actual data that backs this kind of stuff up.
Yeah, this is.
So what's his name? Yeah, we can't play that, dude.
Hans Rosling.
Hans Rosling. Okay, he's getting us a picture.
Yeah.
Global population growth by box by box.
That's the box. So
that's
one,
that's the YouTube vid. Yeah, you're right. This is the guy I've seen too. Yeah, he sort of pulls a lot of the alarmism out of the whole world overpopulation sort of argument, doesn't he?
Yeah. That
was a good call, man.
It was in a philosophy class that I first heard of him.
The article goes on to say the claim that millennials are undergoing a so-called sex recession in the United States was first popularized by Kate Julian's seminal 2018 Atlantic story on the subject. In the piece, Julian cites data from the General Social Survey, GSS, an annual report of American trends and habits, which indicates that Americans are reporting having sex less than previous generations. She attributes this to a number of different potential factors, though she focuses primarily on technology, pointing the finger at hookup apps like Tinder and the widespread prevalence of porn with eroding people's interest in the real-world sexual encounters. I think that's probably true. I think there's a lot of truth to that. It's sort of, what do you say? There's all kinds of places to stop and eat now. You don't necessarily have to go home anymore or whatever. The argument that millennials are in the midst of a sex recession is, quote, legitimate in a sense because the GSS data does show that sexual frequency is on the decline, says Dr. Justin Leigh Miller, a research fellow at the Kinsey Institute and author of the blog Sex and Psychology. Data analysis from 2016, for instance, found that the number of times 18 to 29-year-olds had sex dropped from 81.29 times per year between 89 and 94 to 79.4 times per year between 2010 and 2014. It went down less than 2 times per year.
Yeah. But it's sex and
Is it
psychology.
Time to hit are we supposed to hit the panic button here, man? I mean,
oh my gosh, what's going to happen if we live in a world where nobody's having sex?
I mean, just the fact that maybe families are struggling financially, so people are picking up more shifts or something like that could be buried in that.
I mean,
I think this is a clickbait article, man, more than anything.
Yeah, the context for the sex recession in
Japan.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a crap article.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not.
I mean, I think it's a legit type.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think that's happening. I mean, all I can think of is living through the '80s. Like what you're saying, sex is getting higher priced. It's like a recession.
So there are people having less of it.
Oh,
what's our next article, Mr. Devlin, over there on the engineering?
Ooh, look at that. That's green mushrooms.
Well, I thought you'd get a kick out of this because we talk about this kind of shit all the time, right?
Uh-huh.
It says scientists engineered a bacterium that poops out huge amounts of psilocybin.
Wow.
So this is a thing.
Science.
This comes from sciencealert.com.
Science alert, man.
This isn't even science, man. This is biology, isn't it?
I mean, but it's important. Right?
It's still science. But
we made psilocybin out of bacteria poop.
Who knows, man? Scientists have found a new way to harvest psilocybin, the psychedelic compound typically found in mushrooms. They've engineered bacteria to produce psilocybin in their cells and poop it out.
And why? And why would they do that? Because they can. And it's awesome. I'm just saying, if you had the power,
if you're going to do something, right?
You know what I can get these guys to do?
Remember that article we had where the guy spiked his coworkers' drinks with acid because he figured it would help him chill the fuck out,
loosen up and get bond.
It's like
it's a peyote lodge or something.
What's he doing? It says psilocybin is found in over 200 fungus species and has long enjoyed a reputation for its psychedelic and hallucinogenic properties. In recent years, however, it has become increasingly evident that psychedelic drugs also have serious potential for treating conditions such as treatment-resistant depression. I keep hearing a lot about that people were, like in Colorado, I think they just legalized it in Denver, the city.
Oh, yeah.
And they're actively using it to treat PTSD veterans and these kinds of people with psychedelics, but I don't know if they're using. I doubt they're using mushrooms. Maybe they are. We should probably look into that for a future show.
I would imagine that they would use this over LSD.
Yeah,
I would imagine. Yeah, but I don't know.
It seems, because isn't that kind of bad for you in a lot of ways?
Not necessarily. What's bad about it is that back in the 70s and 80s, it
was like strychnine or something, right?
That's
like
how they preserved it, was by using strychnine. So you would take it, and you would get cramps and stuff, right? And that's part of that whole experience. But sometimes if they mixed it wrong,
it killed you.
It'd kill you, just like it would have wrecked.
Oh God,
that doesn't scare you away from it. I don't know.
That's from what's don't take the green acid or whatever, the red acid. Oh wait a minute, no, don't take the blue acid. The red acid was shit. But mass producing the compound from mushrooms would require a lot of time and a lot of space to grow the fungi. So a team of biochemists led by Andrew Jones and Alexandria Adams of Miami University decided to try something else, metabolic engineering. This is a biosynthesis process that relies on changing cells so they will produce compounds they don't naturally produce.
Nature is slow and pedestrian. We need to speed it up.
We need to fix that shit. Or in quantities they don't naturally produce. One example of this is biomethanol, which can be used as a biofuel. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Got mushrooms growing fuel. Popular bacterium for this purpose is Escherichia coli.
Maybe that's how you say it.
How would you say it?
I don't know. Where's that?
It's right here.
Oh, geez.
Escherichia.
Let me stare at that for a minute.
No.
Why don't we put it through like a Google Translate?
Escaraca.
No.
It looks like Escaraca.
Since it's easy to engineer, prolific, well understood, and has a large and versatile array of genetic tools available for engineering. So this is what the team used as their host. That makes sense.
Yeah, man.
They introduced psilocybin-producing genes from the quintessential magic mushroom psilocybin cubensis.
You got me, man.
Into the bacterium to see if that would induce the microbes to produce psilocybin. It worked with varying levels of success. Quote, "We are taking the DNA from the mushroom that encodes its ability to make this product and putting it in E. coli."
That there is psilocybin dioxide ribonucleic acid, bitch.
Yikes. Quote, "It's similar to the way you make beer." No.
Oh, well.
No, it isn't. Through a fermentation process. Okay, maybe it is. It just seems a lot more dangerous than making beer to me. I don't know. It could be crazy. We are effectively taking the technology that allows for scale and speed of production and applying it to our psilocybin-producing E. coli. The researchers identified the bacterium strain that produced the greatest concentration of psilocybin, greatest reliability, and low buildup of intermediate products. Yeah, man, they're just picking the strongest horses, right? And then building on that over and over again kind of thing, and keeping that genetic strain more robust. Dubbing this strain P. Silo 16, they then worked to optimize its production through a series of experiments to provide the best fermentation conditions. This provided the best base media, the best temperature, and the best nutrient mix for producing psilocybin. Doesn't this sound like something some kid in the 60s did in his dorm room?
Yeah, not much different than, what's his name there that was always saying drop in and tune out?
Cleary. His name was something Cleary, right?
Right.
Tune in, turn on, and drop out, or drop in, tune on, drop it.
Hey, Mr. Engineer.
Yes.
Do you have a separate screen to do that on, or do you have to do it?
Yeah, he can do it on a separate screen.
Oh, okay.
What's the term?
Yeah, I think it's a guy. I think that it was tune in, turn on, and drop out. And it was a real famous psychonaut.
Timothy Leary.
Timothy Leary, that's his name.
Never mind, I got it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, Timothy Leary. Well, I just found it too, so.
Too slow.
A little faster than Google.
Finally, the team was able to scale their production up into large bioreactors. So this is going like
large bioreactors.
Yeah, man, that's the shit that
hey, man, don't get that shit on you. You'll be off work for.
It's like a
no, but
I get where you're coming from.
At some point, there's going to be a large batch of this. When you're going to have to be careful.
This is what pharmaceuticals use to grow the fudgicles. This is the bioreactors. Fine-tuning the process to eventually produce a concentration of 1.16 grams of psilocybin per liter. The first demonstration of psilocybin in a prokaryotic host. Prokaryotic.
Yay.
Thank you, engineer.
Yay.
And the highest concentration of psilocybin produced by any recombinant organism to date.
Man,
So they're making industrial
strength psilocybin
levels
in a factory somewhere. I want to go. I want to work there. I want to work at the psilocybin factory.
I think you go to prison for taking that shit.
But
I doubt they give out samples.
Just to work there. That would be fun.
This isn't like working at a soft drink manufacturer.
Yeah, but the industrial accident aspect of it
is just.
Well.
Everybody's having out of body
just get them out, give them something to eat.
Bring us the next one, Devlin.
Put them in the park for a day.
Yeah, you'd be like, everybody's just put everybody in a park and give them a net and let them chase the imaginary butterflies
Tell
or whatever.
Them to report back tomorrow. We'll have it cleaned up by then.
And everybody comes back to work the next day feeling so much better, much better about the world.
God, I love the world. A lot of it's green.
Oh, God, I don't want to cover this. Can this one. No, thanks. This one comes from Forbes. The 7 biggest technology trends in 2020 everyone must get ready for now. We are amidst the 4th industrial revolution, and technology is evolving faster than ever. We talk about this a lot.
So what?
Right?
Like, get ready? Like, is it like preppers or something? We got to prep for the future. How do you do this?
I had a conversation with an older friend of mine here recently about that interneting is a skill. It's a skill.
It is in role playing games.
It's even a.
It is. Your ability to surf through the shit and extract and disseminate the information that you get.
Absolutely.
Correlate it and then contextualize it. It's a skill for sure.
And it's a perishable skill.
Yeah, if you don't keep up on
and that's the hard part, because I know our engineer buddy over there, internet's way fucking better than I do.
Oh, you got to take
like
your
1,000 times.
Like ginkgo biloba
and my fish oil pills and my garlic pills.
Garlic pills, you got to take that stuff, man.
I do take chondroitin and glucosamine and fish oil pills, believe it or not, though.
Vitamin B chondroitin.
Dude, they work.
Well, yeah,
it works great. It's amazing how well it works.
You end up with a podcast called No Shit.
Because of that, you think that's what
Perhaps.
That's the nexus of it is the fish oil pills?
It could be.
I'm going to give you a solemn piece of life advice.
Oh.
Under no circumstances should you ever take the cap off of your fish oil pills.
Oh, and inhale.
Smell inside your fish oil pill bottle. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't ever let it happen.
I mean, is there really ever a fish that smells good that's not cooked with like lemon and spices on it? Like, I don't even know if fish smells good ever.
Ooh, it's an event. I did it by mistake. I don't know what the hell I was thinking one day. I'm just like, I'm making my protein shake and I'm getting my oh my God. Why do I take these?
Oh, this is why I ingest them orally and not through the nose.
It would wake up the dead, man.
God, they should make a nasal spray, all that shit.
Where the hell am I? As a business and technology futurist, it is my job to look ahead and identify the most important trends. In this article, I share with you the 7 most imminent trends everyone should get ready for in 2020.
Well, I'm sure that they're going to do the augmented reality, right?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so the first one's AI as a service.
It's kind of there already.
It's all we did that, right? The Google Assistant.
Yeah.
Well, Siri.
Siri, and then the one that's on Windows.
Alexa?
Start with a C.
Cortana.
Right.
Yeah.
And Alexa is what? That's Android.
Amazon.
Right?
Amazon, yeah.
Or it's Amazon. What's Androids?
I'll check it out.
I don't know what Androids is.
I think it's just Hey Google or something like that.
It could be. I don't know. After intelligence, AI is the most transformative tech evolutions of our times. As I highlighted in my book, Artificial Intelligence in Practice, most companies have started to explore how they can use AI to improve the customer experience and to streamline their business operations. Now, when I say AI, I don't mean me. I mean the author of the article, right? This will continue in 2020, and while people will increasingly become used to working alongside AIs, designing and deploying our own AI-based systems will remain an expensive proposition for most businesses. It says, for this reason, much of the AI applications will continue to be done through providers of as a service platform. That makes sense. So it's going to be big companies like Google that's going to be able to provide the AI service. Most companies aren't going to be able to afford to make their own.
We're heading towards Shadowrun. It's going to be awesome.
We totally are.
Only the corporations have the big AIs.
Which allow us to simply feed in our data and pay for the algorithms or compute resources we use them as we use them. So it's as a per
calculation.
Yeah, per calculation basis.
Look, you get paid per calculation.
Currently, these platforms provided by the likes of Amazon, Google, and Microsoft tend to be somewhat broad in scope, with often expensive custom engineering required to apply them to specific tasks an organization may require. During 2020, we will see wider adoption and a growing pool of providers that are likely to start offering more tailored applications and services for specific and specialized tasks.
Very nice.
This will mean no company will have any excuses left not to use AI.
This is the kitchen AI.
This is right. This is the toilet AI.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, AI. What happens if I need to, roast a turkey or something?
Analyzed. Right. No pathogens found.
Yay! Every day.
Yay! Shake your boot. We talked about the network of death here not too long ago.
Yes, we did. Yeah, it's going to kill everyone fast.
5G networks. The fifth generation of mobile internet connectivity is going to give us super fast download and upload speeds as well as more stable connections. While 5G mobile data networks became available for the first time in 2019, they were mostly still expensive and limited to functioning in confined areas or major cities. 2020 is likely to be the year when 5G really starts to fly with more affordable data plans as well as greatly improved coverage, meaning that everyone can join in the fun of dying from the death network.
Yes, but you're going to need it with your... Yes?
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm curious. How are we supposed to die from 5G?
Well, there's a list.
Well, there's a of all the things that is supposed to cause Alzheimer's, infertility.
Tumors,
it was a
Parkinson's disease.
I don't know, man. I don't have any specific. I'm not a physicist, and I have no specific knowledge. But we basically cited an article that was saying that there was a campaign, a disinformation campaign, to make people think that 5G is somehow a
really bad thing.
Really bad thing, yeah.
So that we're left behind in the technology race on a worldwide platform.
But I don't know that there's a lot of information to support that, was basically what the article said.
It made no sense to me. I didn't understand how something like Alzheimer's, which is like myelin that's wrapped around neural nodes, that
is increased because you're in the area of 5G.
Yeah, or started. And they have been shown to be able to shake them off with like ultrasound and stuff too. So you'd think that something...
It's kind of a new thing, isn't it?
Yeah. The one thing that is legitimate that they didn't talk about, though, was that the frequency given for 5G to operate on by the FCC comes really, really close to the frequency that Doppler radars use to detect moisture and mist in the atmosphere.
Right.
And so they were complaining about that. All the meteorologists were like legitimately saying, hey, man, that's too close.
Right. I don't know. They must know by now, though, in the cities that they've turned it on, whether it's had any
I would assume. But one of the issues is, like we're pointing out in this article, that once it really gets going in 2020 and everybody starts having it, is it going to be a problem? Right now, it's not much of a problem, but it potentially could be, they think. But
yeah, because there's specific frequency bandwidths of microwave radiation that interacts with water. Mm-hmm. That's why microwave ovens work.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they're transmitting in and near that, I can see why people would be concerned, because if it'll heat water up in a microwave, will it heat up water in animals and living tissue and stuff? And I think that's probably where they're coming down. But I do know that it's like a very specific bandwidth that this happens.
And you would feel it. I mean, you'd stop using it, presumably. It would be a slow little microwave or something. But
if it was they say you'd feel it, but you get sunburnt, you don't feel it as it's happening.
You know it happens at the end of the night. You'll know, I think.
Maybe this process is just takes a lot longer.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a mutation process.
The super fast data networks will not only give us the ability to stream movies and music at higher quality when we're on the move.
Yeah, man, they got like 4K video games that they're going to need.
I know, it's going to get nuts.
Yeah, because that's 60 to 90 frames per second and shit like that.
Well, right. And when you start getting into these kind of speeds, then it makes sense. The computing power then gets offloaded from the device to something that can really crunch the numbers.
Yeah.
And then it just streams you the video or the interface. The greatly increased speeds mean both the mobile networks will become more usable, even when the wired networks running into our homes and businesses. Even more usable than the wired networks running into our homes and businesses.
Very nice.
Companies must consider the business implications of having super fast and stable internet access anywhere. Boy, doesn't that sound like it's going to suck. The increased bandwidth will enable machines, robots, and autonomous vehicles to collect and transfer more data than ever. Yay! More profiles. Leading to advances in the area of the Internet of Things and smart machinery.
Yay, smart machinery.
We see a lot about that in the automation world, the Internet of Things. We talk about big data.
Mr. Toaster, I said lightly toasted on one side.
And I want a toasted image of Mary on the other side. Autonomous driving.
Oh, I want a toasted image of Gene Shalit.
So this past weekend, I took my vehicle and went and picked up our engineer over there, Mr. Devlin. Hi, Mr. Devlin.
Hello.
And it was kind of cool because I have a Toyota RAV4 that I bought from my buddy Kent DeLong. Shout out to Kent. He took care of me over at Buckeye Toyota. Anyway, he set me up. All right, we took this RAV4, but it's got this really cool feature called lane trace or something like that now. So you get on the highway. It's not Tesla level shit, right? But it's pretty good. You get on the highway, and as long as the highway's got good painted lines or good not good, but it has them. It has like lines. You can when you start the cruise control, there's a camera that will center you in your lane and keep you there.
That's cool.
And it does. You have to keep your finger on the steering wheel, because if you just like let go of the steering wheel altogether and just let it drive, it'll let you do it for a period of time, but it's not very long. It's like maybe 10 seconds. It starts beeping at you, and then it actually will start slowing you down.
That's cool.
Like reducing your speed, but all you got to do is just touch the steering wheel, and it's like, okay, you're not asleep. So I think it's kind of like a dead man function to know you haven't had a heart attack, and you got the cruise control set at 90.
That's cool.
But it made the drive to go get him and drive back. It made it absolutely tolerable. I mean, it was nice.
That's cool, man.
I'm loving this shit, man.
The new technology.
Oh God, I'm so down for this.
Too bad that it actually leaked on us.
Well, that was a whole different issue, but we're not going to talk about that. the air conditioning. While we still aren't at the stage where we can expect to routinely travel in or even see autonomous vehicles in 2020, they will undoubtedly continue to generate a significant amount of excitement. Tesla chief Elon Musk, our homeboy, has said he expects his company to truly complete autonomous vehicle by this year. And the number of vehicles capable of operating with a lesser degree of autonomy, such as automated braking and lane changing, will become an increasingly common sight. Yeah, because the other thing that the RAV4 does is the mirror. If someone's beside you and like in what would technically be your blind spot, the mirror lights up. So it knows if there's a car there or not. So I can literally see it doing this thing here soon, because it turns the steering wheel now. That when you turn your turn signal on, it looks ahead. If you got room, no one beside you, it actually does the lane change for you.
So it knows if you fall asleep, right?
Yeah.
And then there's obviously when you're awake, because you're touching it, and
you have to keep touching the steering wheel, right?
And it keeps you from being a bad driver, in essence.
Very much so. Yeah, because I also use the radar spacing for the cruise control. Mm-hmm. So when you come up on a car that's actually going slower than you, it slows you down to match their speed.
And of course, it knows if you're being a good driver, so because none of these things activate, right?
Right. I mean, there's safeties that will slam the brakes on, like if something comes out in front of you.
So you're telling me it knows when you are sleeping. It knows when you're awake. It knows when you've been bad or good. Oh God!
So be good for goodness sake.
That's pretty impressive.
I love that you've connected my semi-autonomous vehicle to Santa Claus.
Yeah, man. I mean, kids are disappointed when they find out that Santa Claus is not real. Not always when they find out Jesus is.
What?
I told you. Now you bled him out. Crap. You let the cat out of the bag, man. It's over.
Dang. Jesus isn't.
Where the hell am I, Devlin? You know where I'm at on this?
Sorry, we're just singing some Christmas carols.
In addition to this, other in-car systems not directly connected to driving, such as security and entertainment functions, will become increasingly automated and reliant on data capture and analytics. Google's sister company Waymo has just completed a trial of autonomous taxis in California, where it transported more than 6,200 people in the first month. It won't just be cars, of course. Trucking and shipping are becoming more autonomous, and breakthroughs in this space are likely to continue to hit the headlines throughout 2020. Yeah, there's I think Anheuser-Busch already has autonomous trucks out there doing shit. Going down, Devlin. Let's see what the next one. Personalized and predictive medicine.
Yeah, good stuff there, especially if they're using your DNA.
Right. So this is tailored pharmaceuticals kind of idea.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's very.
That's another Shadowrun trope, right?
It is, yeah.
Tailored pharmaceuticals. Mm-hmm.
Technology is currently transforming healthcare at an unprecedented rate. Our ability to capture data from wearable devices such as smartwatches will give us the ability to increasingly predict and treat health issues in people even before they experience any symptoms. When it comes to treatment, we will see much more personalized approaches. This is also referred to as precision medicine, which allows doctors to more precisely prescribe medicines and apply treatments thanks to a data-driven understanding of how effective they are likely to be for a specific patient. That makes a lot of sense, right? Because medicines can only cover so much grossly.
Yeah.
So when you start getting into this kind of stuff, I swear there's going to be a day where you're going to go to the drugstore or whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to do the pinprick.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, okay, come back tomorrow.
We got your shit for you then.
And then you come back tomorrow and they give you this thing that you snort up your nose.
Yep.
And every illness you have in that one application is just cured, and they fixed your glaucoma. And
that would be good. Yeah, man.
Like the Scotty, the thing they were in Star Trek there. Or not Scotty. Yeah. I'm sorry, Dr. McCoy, the thing they were always.
The hypo spray.
Oh, God, now we're going to get flamed by Trekkies. I'm sorry.
No. I said Dr. McCoy, and I said hypo spray.
When it comes to treatment, we will see much more personalized approaches. This is also, I already read that. Although not a new idea, thanks to recent breakthroughs in technology, especially in the fields of genomics and AI, it is giving us a greater understanding of how different people's bodies are better or worse equipped to fight off specific diseases, as well as how they are likely to react to different types of medication or treatment. Wow. I'm still shocked after I have a personal experience with someone using a DNA test like 23andMe to actually find a previously undiagnosed illness that was killing them.
Yeah.
And what kills me, what I don't understand is why a DNA test of this type wouldn't be your absolute first step.
Cheap standard test.
What am I missing here?
Well,
because everything else, when you have, because there's a lot of this shit, man, that if you got the genetic markers for, you got it.
Yeah.
Like, it's that simple, and there's no guesswork in that. Like, you can take this one test and it like covers shit tons of stuff, right? So when someone is working, like when a doctor is working with somebody and they're trying to figure out, hey, this person's got an ailment, we can't seem to figure out what the hell it is. I would just think the obvious thing would be
do a DNA test.
Let's do a DNA test and see what happens. I think a doctor can prescribe it, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think the anonymity remains a part of it, or you can just go get your own through like 23andMe and these kind of sites. So
yeah, I know a lot of people are concerned about corporations
having their information,
their
genetic information.
Yeah.
I don't worry about a corporation making another me.
Yeah. No.
I don't know why they would want to.
Well, I'm hoping they will for me.
I'm a pain in the ass, man.
For clarification, I've done 23andMe, and I totally said, yeah, you guys can do whatever you want to do with my stuff.
Yeah.
I don't care. I can't imagine how it's going to affect me in a negative way.
Yeah.
And
that's what they all say, right? Yet. You don't know.
Yeah. They're going to deny
Someone's
you
going to
having
murder
insurance.
someone with your clone, and they're going to pin it on you. See? They're going to pin it all on you.
Or you'll be denied a job or insurance or something based on the idea that
of your genetic makeup.
Yeah, that you're going to get something. Because even if you do have 2 markers, you don't necessarily get whatever the disease is, but it's really likely you probably will. And if you have 1 marker, you're not necessarily going to get it at all. So,
right,
like if these markers show up, you could never get certain diseases, right? Even with both markers. But if somebody's seen that, they could deny you, like, well, we're not going to give you insurance because you've got these 2 markers, so you're just out of luck. Like out of luck before you have the disease.
But I would say that, how do I word this? I'm just thinking of the way to word this. We already have volumes of law that make it highly illegal to discriminate against people based on the DNA of their birth, right? Like that.
Yeah.
This is not a new thing here. This is sort of settled. That's not acceptable. Like we've already said that in society. That
not
you can't
in our
do
government,
that.
in our society, but places like jobs and insurance companies, I think, would still be free to make their own decisions. And
they're not allowed to discriminate against you right now because of your DNA at birth. Because think of what I'm saying. Your race, ethnicity, all of these things are determined by your DNA.
Yeah.
So they're already not allowed to do that. You know what I mean? Already. So I would think this would, by proxy, just be an extension of that, of all of those same laws.
Maybe, but if they had any reason to believe that you had a disease or potentially could get one, they could deny you. And it wouldn't be denying you because of your race or how you were born. It would be denying you because you had a higher risk potential.
Right.
And that's something that insurance companies do all the time.
It's sort of weird because I think it's called Gattaca. There's like this weird dystopian futuristic about with all these perfect genetic people, and the way that this kid sort of cheats the system to take his imperfect genes onto the next planet that only the perfect people were allowed to go to, or the ones that were found to be of sufficient genetic purity and stability that they let those go, and they made everybody else stay on the planet that was dying or whatever.
But, man, I think that the knowledge of knowing that you might have a disease might be worth more than the risk that you might be denied for something, right?
In the future. And maybe.
Yeah. And it's
maybe,
also,
right.
And not every job would be that way. Right. And, insurance companies might just put you in a higher risk and charge you more as opposed to deny you. I don't think it's quite as bleak as people try to think that it is. So for those reasons, I don't mind them having my genome, and I hope that it helps in some way, especially since they told me that I had more Neolithic DNA than 99% of the people that they've ever tested.
Yeah, it makes you like almost impervious to all diseases.
Well, yeah, my health
because it's so old, because the DNA is so
presumably old. That it's replicated without issue of genetic illnesses for over 60,000 years to arrive in me. So it has to have been pretty impervious to
a lot of stuff to get there. Right. Yeah.
So I mean, I kind of hit the genetic lottery in that sense because it's an FDA approved thing, and I had to sign stuff, right? And take this, like, read this stuff online that was supposed to be like counseling, and then there was also counseling that they offered too. But a lot of people get this and they see that they've got 1 or 2 markers for like Parkinson's disease, and they flip out, right? But so I was kind of prepared for something like that, and I was like, "Oh no, it's all good, nothing, no markers."
Look at me. Okay, well, everything's
clearly
good.
I'm going to die of a stroke, not a disease.
Not a disease. Okay, good to know. Right. Computer vision. In computer terms, vision involves systems that are able to identify items, places, objects, or people from visual images, those collected by a camera or sensor. It's this technology that allows your smartphone camera to recognize which part of the image it's capturing is a face, and powers technology such as Google Image Search. As we move through 2020, we're going to see computer vision equipped tools and technology rolled out for an ever-increasing number of uses. It's fundamental to the way autonomous cars will see and navigate their way around danger. Production lines will employ computer vision cameras to watch for defective products or equipment failures, and security cameras will be able to alert us to anything out of the ordinary without requiring 24/7 monitoring. By the way,
Ted is at the door.
Murderer has arrived. I would say it says will when it says computer vision and cameras in production. Dude, we've been doing that for 10, 15, 20 years easy now, and using it to find
the AI.
It does learn. The systems that are available now do learn. But like when you're putting caps on bottles, a vision system looks at the bottles going by at 600 or 1,000 bottles per minute and goes, "Oh, that cap's crooked." And when it goes by an ejector and it just pops it and just bumps it and it shoots out into a bin as the rest of the good bottles go by. But it can actually look at the cap, see if it's crooked. It can see if the bottle's full or not, so it's been an underfill or not. It can see if the security band is intact.
Wow.
And it does this with these bottles going by at like 1,000 bottles per minute, which is no human could do.
Yeah,
but it can do that. But the criteria for that is very specific in the world of looking at things, right? It has to be in a very sterile sort of environment, and there's lighting requirements and this kind of stuff that make that work so well.
Yeah, it wouldn't like work as a field test per se.
Yeah, it's not. You're gonna bolt it onto the roof of your car, and it's gonna drive you down the road and say hi to Bob. It doesn't. It doesn't do that. Computer vision is also enabling face recognition, which we will hear a lot about in 2020. We have already seen how useful the technology is in controlling access to our smartphones. In the case of Apple's Face ID, and how Dubai Airport uses it to provide a smoother customer journey. However, as the use cases will grow in 2020, we will also have more debates about limiting the use of this technology because of its potential to erode privacy and enable, quote, Big Brother-like state control. See, this is the thing that kills me, right? The Big Brother-like state control. That doesn't... Everybody thinks that's like an inevitable thing. That doesn't have to happen. Especially in the United States. Like, we have mechanisms to give the individuals back their data rights, and then anybody that does this shit can go to jail. But like, everyone's like, oh, Dredd, we're all going to drown. This is the whole drown, stand up bullshit, right?
Yeah,
all we got to do is extend the Fourth Amendment to include data rights. And then all of that Big Brother shit, they can try. And if they do it, they'd be criminally liable. And people can go to jail for it and be fined for it. Companies can be fined for it. Grow, huge amounts. Well, so it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be that way.
Well, it's almost like they forget the bigger picture of clandestine issues. There's been
clandestine.
There's been like spy networks and miniature cameras and people listening in on data and stuff like that. The government.
Why do people think they're so fucking important? What is it that, I mean,
but my
other
point
than
is just
selling you shit, the data that these things collect about you, other than fucking selling you shit, is pretty worthless.
Sure, that's the main use for most people. But I'm just saying the government has a long history of having its own spy network inside and outside.
Absolutely.
That we've accepted and or not considered. When these technologies pop up and they're like, oh, that's going to make it so that anybody can do it. I think that's the bigger fear more than Big Brother is that small brother. Like the local police agency or the average person on the street, or that somebody would be able, I mean, that's just a guess. I don't know.
I think look, when everybody's naked, nobody's nude.
Yeah. There's, but some people would consider that living in a police state, where if everybody had to go nude, right, to get in, right, they wouldn't like it. They would go live out in the country and wear their overalls or whatever. But
to me, that's kind of where I think it's all going. Is everybody's hacked. Every company is hacked. All your personal information has been hacked.
Certainly can be.
If you've ever used a credit card online or bought anything in a store, I mean, it's.
Or when you watch things like Manhunter and you watch people struggle so hard to stay off the grid, and like when they truly are staying off the grid, it's miserable.
Absolutely.
For me, when I went to go buy the lightsabers I have back there, I bought like one set and then didn't go on this website I got them on. and I'm still getting ads for them 2 years later.
Like in your email or where?
No, on Facebook, like on social media. I'll just see them, or like on my Safari tabs on my phone. Is insane.
Did you interact with their Facebook page? Did you like anything from their page or make a comment or anything like that?
I think I did once, and they keep showing me it.
Man, I need to gain access to somebody's Facebook page and order a dildo or something.
There you go.
That would be hilarious. Did you make a comment? Yeah, man, I said it was awesome.
Bro, when I was in
why am I seeing dildos from Facebook forever? I guess Facebook wouldn't allow that, would they?
Well, getting into somebody's account would just be violation of the terms of service, I would think. That you're not supposed to hack into people's accounts. No. But I'll give you a funny anecdote about that.
They just leave them open sometimes.
When I was in primary school, or what we called A school in the military, we all lived in a barracks. And when you got mail and packages, they had to come into the petty officer, the guy that ran the barracks' office, the chief and the petty officer, and you had to open the shit because they wanted to make sure you weren't getting shipments of bags of weed or something, whatever, bombs and stuff.
Bombs and weed, the normal things.
So, if you really wanted to mess with somebody, you would order them like a blow-up doll or something to be delivered to them at the barracks. And that was a fun time. Watching this guy be like, I didn't order this. We're like, oh, sure you did. Somebody ordered it, was messing with him and ordered it. And it comes in like just a plain brown box.
They're all great forms of disinformation.
It's like, pull that out. What is that? And it's like,
So, there are more lightsabers now, though.
What?
So,
What? I'm sorry, I tuned in.
Yeah, Erik,
why is that the weird thing? No, there are more lightsabers now. I mean, there's more characters that have their own personal design. Each Jedi makes their own, right? So they're each like a personal design. So there's probably a big, huge increase in the amount of design possibilities that's been added since they've been making new films. Between the time that maybe you bought that lightsaber and now, maybe there are viable advertisements that they're still trying to give you.
Yeah, maybe they got better shit, man, and they just want you to know about it.
Like, you might want some of these
maybe
new
that's
designs.
What it is, Devlin. You don't know.
He just walked away in protest.
I know. I think he's going to get them.
Hey. Oh, you know what this means? You're evil.
I get the extremely large red one.
Right on.
Do they make noise or anything?
They're heavy. That's all that matters. They're heavy.
Soundless.
They're soundless. Aw. Yeah, can you actually hit these together?
No,
like, will they survive?
They're dual ready. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because this is a thing, right? I mean, this is like, there's like almost like a martial art that's being created out of this stuff now, where these guys go into, I've seen this on YouTube, like hotel lobbies. And not hotel lobbies, but like hotel ballrooms. They have conventions and shit where they fight with these things now. So this is a big deal. Yeah, that's why I was wondering. They're heavy. I was wondering if you could actually hit somebody with them. They're made out of, I mean, look at that, man. That's like out of
aluminum.
That's aluminum.
You can hit them with this side for sure. If you get too mad, like, look.
Stop it. Bam. I said stop it.
Just turn it down. Uh-oh. Things have just got real. Yeah,
they're getting crazy over here.
Fantastically real.
It doesn't work. Oh, look at this.
And this is how the studio was destroyed in day one.
What am I going to do with this? Like, I can't. It's too big. That's what she said. Like, I can't. It doesn't even stand up. It hits the ceiling in here. So you need some space for that. Oh, look, a stripper pole. Look, we've put in a Jedi stripper pole into the studio. Hang on.
Yeah, you know.
The people upstairs are going to be really pissed. I keep making all this noise. Look, it's my Jedi stripper pole. You have to check this out on YouTube, folks, to see this. Okay, you shut that off. Oh, I don't know. You can hang on to it, but I'm moving on.
Like I'm a Jedi.
Engineer.
Oh, look, there's a button.
Come take this shit. Yeah, it has the buttons on it. Wait, I got it. There we go. All right. Thank you, sir.
You said it wasn't going to be this kind of show.
Extended reality is one. It's a catch-all term that covers several new and emerging technologies being used to create more immersive digital experiences.
Ooh.
More specifically, it refers to a virtual, augmented, and mixed reality. Virtual reality provides a fully digitally immersive experience where you enter a computer-generated world using headsets that blend out the real world. Mm-hmm. Augmented reality overlays digital objects onto the real world via smartphone screens or displays. Think Snapchat filters. Like, have you ever seen one? You get the one where you can make a little dinosaur stand in your hand and stuff?
Yeah.
Mixed reality is an extension of AR that means users can interact with digital objects placed in the real world. Think playing a holographic piano that you have placed into your room via an AR headset.
Mm. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the
air drums is like you'll be like at a rock concert. Really bitch.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that the graphics are pretty good outside in reality.
I think reality's got pretty good graphics.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't pixelate out until you're into the subatomic level.
You just got that.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, once you get to the subatomic level, it kind of pixelates out. There's this uncertainty thing happening. You can't really tell. But aside from that, just get some drumsticks and some skins, man.
Or, something. These technologies have been around for a few years now, but have largely been confined to the world of entertainment, with Oculus Rift and Vive headsets providing the current state of the art in video games, and smartphones features such as camera filters and Pokemon Go style games providing the most visible examples of AR. Yeah, it is all kind of I don't know, what am I saying here? It's all kind of cute, but it doesn't. I'm like, okay, this was fun, but it doesn't really do anything yet.
They're gonna lose their shit when graphics actually become better than reality.
How's that?
Well, I mean, how's that possible? I don't know. I don't know.
You like put implants in your eyes.
No idea.
Just take over my optic nerve.
Maybe you just like have like a Geordie LaForge.
You like visor.
Yeah, you see shit that normal people don't see.
From 2020, expect all of that to change as businesses get to grips with the wealth of exciting possibilities offered by both current forms of XR, extended reality, right? I guess. Virtual and augmented reality will become increasingly prevalent for training and simulation, as well as offering new ways to interact with customers.
Yeah, you could do like extended play too, where you can see what it might be like to be 150 years old in a virtual reality. Since you'll never live that long.
Like what it would be like to physically be 150 years old?
Well,
in virtual reality?
Yeah, in terms of like movement rate and that sort of thing, and the little lag in reality because your brain cognitive functions are lacking a little bit.
Maybe dimension shit too.
Yeah, having weird shit happen because like biologically speaking, the brain is definitely only capable of handling a lifetime of about 30 to 40 years, but we've extended life already to about 100.
What's that creepy fucking actor? Christopher Walken. He was in a movie called, what was it called? It was about things that could record your thoughts. It was about this machine that could record your thoughts, and then someone else could put the headset on and then play those back, and it would play them into your head. What was that called? It had Christopher Walken and Natalie Wood was in it. It was like the last movie she ever made.
I tend to avoid Christopher Walken movies. I'm not sure.
Why is that?
Well, because like you said, he's that weird actor guy.
Oh, he was excellent in it. I can't remember. It was called Brain.
Is the movie called Rare?
No, it was called like Mindscape or Brainscape or something. I can't remember what the hell the name of it. It's a really good movie. It was like way ahead of its time.
I like his dancing.
Yeah, Fat Boy Slim. Is that what the
video? That and the dancing he did prior to that. He used to be a dancer.
Yeah, he can move. He's creepy.
He can move. He can move. He knows how to add the cowbell.
All right, so the next one's blockchain technology. You familiar with blockchain?
Yeah, but I was hoping it was block theory. But yeah, it's cool.
Blockchain is a technology trend that I have covered extensively this year. Not me, again, the author. And yet, you're still likely to get blank looks as if you mention it to non-tech savvy people. 2020 could finally be the year when that changes, though. Blockchain is essentially a digital ledger used to record transactions, but secured due to its encrypted and decentralized nature. During 2019, some commentators began to argue that the technology was overhyped and perhaps not as useful as first thought. However, continued investment by the likes of FedEx, IBM, Walmart, and MasterCard during 2019 is likely to start to show real-world results, and if they manage to prove its case, could quickly lead to an increase in adoption by smaller players. So this is getting back to everybody's losing their identity, and now not having shit get hacked and new ways to encrypt things and make
becomes
it more
the
secure.
new security. Yeah.
And if if things are going to plan, 2020 will also see the launch of Facebook's own blockchain-based crypto, currently Libra, which is going to create quite a stir. If you like to keep track of these technologies, simply follow me on YouTube, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. His name is, the author's name is Bernard Marr. It says he's an international best-selling author, popular keynote speaker, futurist, and a strategic business and technology advisor to governments and companies. So I think he's probably right about a lot of that. I thought that was going to be very topical given the shit we generally do, right? Hour and 20. We're doing pretty good. What was the point of this? This is from Gizmodo. What would it take to shut down the entire internet?
A coronal mass ejection.
That would do it.
All right, moving on.
Okay, next article, Devlin.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, clearly the egg was in the fossil record before the chicken. Moving on.
This is from, where are we at?
Zombie apocalypse. Tie their
next article.
shoestrings together.
We already answered the question.
Coronal
Coronal mass ejection. Moving on.
Awesome. Let's go.
Artificial skin gives haptic feedback. Could let you feel VR. This is from Digital Trends.
I disbelieve.
You disbelieve?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to need some zoom on that shit. Yeah. I can't read that. Now researchers at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, Lausanne, EPFL, have come up with a flexible artificial skin which can provide haptic feedback and could be used for everything from VR to medical rehabilitation. The skin is made of silicone and electrodes, and it can conform to shapes such as wrapping around a fingertip or wrist to provide feedback in the form of pressure or vibration.
Wow, it's like Precure in the Merlin cycle of Roger Zelazny's Amber books.
I've heard of this being used already, sort of feedback devices in bracelets at distribution fulfillment centers when people aren't picking orders fast enough and stuff. It like vibrates, telling them you gotta move quicker. I bet it doesn't vibrate until you slow the fuck down though.
Wage slave.
The skin has sensors embedded within it that can detect deformations. I could have said it either way. So that the feedback can be adjusted in response to movements, making it more usable and giving more realistic feedback. This is the first time we have developed an entirely soft artificial skin.
They need this for the sex robots they've been working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see
I see the connection.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the first time we have developed an entirely soft artificial skin where both sensors and actuators are integrated. Well, you got to have the actuators.
Yeah, you do.
I'm just saying.
That's the meat and potatoes.
Harshal Sonar, researcher at EPFL and the lead author of the study, said in a statement, "This gives us closed-loop control, which means we can accurately and reliably modulate the vibratory stimulation felt by the user." Now we're getting it figured out. This is ideal for wearable applications such as...
Were we prepared for this technology? Because...
well, I think we're ready for it. The poor bastard that wrote this, well, I'm sorry, what's his name? Harshal Sonar. This poor guy.
Harshal Sonar.
Never intended to have this article be coming out of our
no, probably not.
through our interpretation.
No,
this poor guy.
He may not be a fan,
or she. I don't know. What's Harshal? I don't know.
Sounds like a male name, but I don't know.
Says this is ideal for wearable applications such as for testing a patient's proprioception and medical applications. That doesn't sound kinky.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
What is proprioception? Yeah, let's Google that shit, Devlin. Where's that at? Yeah, that's fine.
Do it over here.
Yeah, do it there. Proprioception. That's a new one on me, man. Let's see. Perception or awareness of the position and movement of the body.
Being aware of where you're at in your space.
Exercises to improve balance and proprioception. Well, there's a new word.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I've never heard that before. Now I got to figure out where the hell I'm at. We looked up proprioception.
Dancers need that.
Article. The artificial skin is stretchable as well as flexible and can be stretched up to 4 times its original length.
So it can take a beating. What?
That means it should be able to withstand the rigors of daily movements. So it could be developed into a tool for patients who have lost their sense of touch. It could also be used to create highly immersive VR experiences.
Doc, I've been using this for a while now, and I'm getting a little used to it. Is there any way you can just up the ante a little bit and just turn up those actuators?
Says
dial it in.
The next step will be to develop a fully wearable prototype for applications in rehabilitation in virtual and augmented reality. Soner said the prototype will also be tested in neuroscientific studies where it can be used to stimulate the human body while researchers study dynamic brain activity.
Good Lord, you could have a prosthetic penis that works.
In magnetic resonance experiments.
Yeah, man. I mean,
a prosthetic penis that works.
Yeah, that you could feel. That you would get sensation from.
You just got to plug it in.
Well, however
it connects, right?
It could be biochemically or,
connected.
Yeah, or however, it could be running off of your movement. You could, I'm just saying it's possible.
I just get this image of it in a dishwasher or something, time for maintenance.
Give it an artificial intelligence and the whole human race may never have another baby.
We got 2 articles left.
You feeling this train?
I'm just.
We got 2 left, man. Just hold on with the penis things. Let's not talk about the polyphalluses or any of that stuff from ancient Roman times.
No, man, it's definitely
penis wings. None of that.
Penises with wings. Yeah, we did cover that once.
We did.
This is a historical thing.
Yay, Vesuvius. Oh, cool.
Okay, it says Google's offering a free tour of the Palace of Versailles. Right, that's how you pronounce it.
I think so.
It's not Versailles.
Versailles of
Versailles of Le Château Esvois. Oh man, I'm pissing some French people off here.
Oh,
can't be any worse than the Germans. We've murdered
There's
the
a couple
names
of
and shit
of. I can say a couple of things in French, but they're not nice.
They're not polite. Not in good company.
Oh.
Google has produced the largest photogrammetry project for the French tourist attraction Palace of Versailles, delivering a virtual reality tour of Louis the 14th royal estate using. I had to speak in Roman numeral here, bitch. Give me a break, okay? I haven't done that in a while. Use EXIF. Using an HTC Vive or Oculus Rift, users will be able to travel the castle's 21 rooms, such as King and Queen's State Apartments and Royal Opera House, Royal Chapel, and Hall of Mirrors, as well as the rest of its 387,500 square foot interior. It will showcase all the works of art housed in the location, including sculptures, paintings, and tapestries. You must show me the tapestries.
What about Tupperware? Are you going to show me the Tupperware?
I doubt that's in there. We didn't have petroleum distillates back then like that, so not going to be in there. I'm just saying, man. I want you to get your hopes up and go buy a Oculus Rift and then be disappointed that you don't get to see Tupperware.
Yeah.
According to its description on Steam, tapestries, paintings, ceilings, sculptures, and furniture, everything is within your reach of your controller to grant you unlimited and privileged access to the treasures of Versailles. Reads the description on Steam. For a more intimate experience, switch to night mode and explore the palace by the light of chimney fires. That could be cool.
Yeah.
The tour collects over 4 terabytes of data and 15 billion textured pixels in order to visualize experience. Better than reality, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to have a VR headset, though, Google has also released an online exhibition featuring over 390 assets, including objects, artifacts, and paintings. If you don't have a VR headset, check out the visuals above, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So if you want to check that out, that's out there now. Welcome to the world of technology.
Welcome to Versailles.
That was pretty cool. Zuckerberg. Oh, we got to do some Facebook Zuck stuff, and then we'll wrap up on this. Zuckerberg says, I'll go to the mat and fight Warren over plan to break up Facebook. Leaked recordings published by The Verge show Zuckerberg fears existential threat if Democratic contender becomes president. So this is a thing, right? That now they're starting to go after these social media companies pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Who's this article from, Devlin?
Let's check this out.
Guardian.com. Yeah, I see it. Okay. I forgot to say that up front. Facebook chief executive Mark Zuckerberg says his company will go to the mat if Elizabeth Warren is elected president and seeks to fulfill her promise to break up America's tech giants. having to mount a legal challenge Zuckerberg said would suck for us. Bummer. In response, the Massachusetts senator said, quote, "What would really suck is if we don't fix a corrupt system." We don't want to upset the Zuck, man. He'll turn your Facebook account off, and then what would you do?
I would be totally put back into the Stone Age.
Yeah,
obviously.
It would be awful, right?
Yeah.
No one would like you anymore. You would have no friends because Facebook doesn't say
Tinderbox with flint and steel.
That's it. In leaked transcripts of July internal meetings published by The Verge on Tuesday, Zuckerberg identifies a a political movement where people are angry at the tech companies. Let's see, and are worried about concentration or worried about different issues and worried that they are not being handled well. Okay, it's obvious it's not being handled well. He adds, quote, "That doesn't mean that even if there's anger, that you have someone like Elizabeth Warren who thinks that the right answer is to break up the companies." The Massachusetts senator made her promise in March, saying in a blog post, quote, "Today's big tech companies have too much power over our economy, our society, and our democracy. They've bulldozed competition, used our private information for profit, and tilted the playing field against everyone else." I watched that documentary it was on Netflix, called The Great Hack or The Big Hack. I think it's The Great Hack. And they made there was a woman in the documentary that worked for one of these data mining kind of companies. She made the comment that data has surpassed oil in real value in the world. And some of the first antitrust laws went like after oil companies like Mobil and busted them up. The Rockefellers and some of those type people got their companies split up. And I think what's kind of interesting is, so the last people that had that kind of enormous wealth and leverage on the economy were broken up. So I don't know why it's there it is, The Great Hack. Thanks, Devlin, on Netflix. That's a really great documentary. I suggest everybody watch it. I mean, I don't know where it's got a lot of good information in it per minute.
I got a 30-day whatever to Netflix.
Like a 30-day free trial or something.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
A free trial. That's usually what you don't want to do. Yeah.
All right, man. So is there anything you want to cover? Is there anything we missed?
Yeah. Yes.
Uh-oh.
Yes. All right. So I don't know that we
Go about to lay down some wisdom, aren't you?
No. We can't stop at this moment.
Why is that?
Because we have to take a minute and we got to tell people and say, look, tell us if you like this video stuff. You don't have to like it. We don't have to do it. I don't necessarily know if I want to do it. But here we are doing it. Yeah, and you're probably going to see this. And if you've waited this long and you're listening to this and you're still like, wow, this is awesome. You don't have to. It can go back into your head. You can start believing that we are bio creatures, or that we're figments of your imagination. I mean, you might recognize the voices in your head.
Maybe normally. We're just AI.
Yeah.
Maybe we're just AI. In a simulation and we're just being generated here.
Right.
Man.
Yeah. So it's up to you. It could be a vote. Because Matt will listen to you guys.
Since when? Since when do I listen to anybody?
Oh, and we have to talk about this. Okay,
what's this? Well, the bottles without labels,
right? And it doesn't look like much, right? Like this could even be tap water, like local tap water, and that would be kind of weird. But you understand that it's oxygen and hydrogen, right?
Right.
And hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, right? Right at the beginning of your table of periodic elements, right? And it was the first thing that we ever had. The first stars, the first generation of stars was made out of hydrogen, right? This hydrogen was made 14 billion years ago.
Okay.
So when you drink it, you're consuming atoms that's 14 billion years old that was here at the beginning of the universe that created that first generation of stars. And potentially those big giant black holes.
How should I feel about that?
You should feel good about that.
Okay.
Because it's not just a simple bottle of water with no label on it. You don't have to have any capitalism to be inspired by water. That's what, I mean, we had to, because
okay, I'm going to wrap up there.
We're good.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out at www.noshitcast.com. That's KNOWSHITCAST.com. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Give us a share. We really like it when you do that. And leave us a comment. If you're not a douchebag about it, we'll talk about it. We'll put you on the air. We'll make you famous as we can make you. So we appreciate you listening, everyone. And we'll catch you all next time. Thanks for listening.